We are all the same. Welcome to the bar. You can barely see it's open. I had my video blocked by YouTube because I showed footage from this movie. This is The Towering Inferno, by the way. The Towering Inferno, it has Steve McQueen, who did Bullet, all those driving stunts down like San Francisco. It had Paul Newman's salad dressing. We got Steve McQueen, we got Paul Newman. We also have O.J. Simpson over here. So there's O.J. Simpson. There's some actors. Robert Wagner, who didn't kill his wife. A lot of different actors. Some you recognize, some you don't. You may have to do research about 1970s movies or 1960s movies to get this. So The Towering Inferno was about this Jenga type building, like made out of Jenga blocks. So it was a building made on kickbacks. This was made in 1974, directed by Irwin Allen, in which the building was poorly made and was going to come apart. But instead of falling down like Jenga blocks, it burned and people burned to death and people fell. It was like 9/11, but without the Al-Qaeda or Osama bin Laden reference. Depending on what truth you believe about 9/11. But anyway, it's not about 9/11 or 3/11 in Japan. This is about the coronavirus. So what do I mean by we're all the same? Well, originally I posted this video showing footage, so YouTube has blocked that. So now I have to do this all over again in the morning. It is Sunday morning right now. It's still Tru.F.Lo.S number 13. But we're all the same, not as far as law and order and justice, because black people are treated poorly in a lot of cases. White people are treated poorly in other cases. Latinos, Mexicanos, Chicanos were treated badly in other cases. Sometimes Asians, not always, but sometimes Asians are. Handicapped versus non-handicapped. Baby versus adult. Young, old, fat, skinny, tall, short. We're not talking, or deaf, not deaf. We're not talking about, I don't like when people say we're equals. We're not equals in that sense. Not as far as law and order and practicality. I'm talking about we are all the same in that we can burn, we can be stabbed, we can be shot, we can be electrocuted, we can be hit by a car, we can be poisoned, and we can be, electrocuted. I think I said that already. And we can fall literally the same way. So we are all mortally capable of being killed that way. It can happen. This was based on when I worked at the library. I don't work at the library right now because the library's closed. But when I did the bookstore, I worked at the bookstore earlier. About 3 months ago, somebody bought some books. Middle-aged white man in his 60s. Nice guy, really nice guy, not unpleasant. And I brought up the movie, The Towering Inferno. And do you know what he said to me? I brought up this movie. He said, you know what? When I watched that movie, what I learned, we are all the same. And that stuck in the back of my mind for a while. It kind of told me, yeah, we are in that sense. Because when you put people in a very panicky situation, anybody could die. Anybody can get killed. Now, this coronavirus, we've had the coronavirus happen in China. It's now exploded all over Italy. Thousands of people died in China. Thousands of people have died in Italy. It's everywhere. And we have 200 people out of 327 million Americans die from the coronavirus. Some of them elderly, some not elderly. Tom Hanks and his wife, Idris Elba, that actor from Game of Thrones, they have coronavirus. Now, a lot of people roll up their eyes and say, well, they got better health insurance because they got money and they're white, or they're rich and they're celebrities, so they got money. But here's the thing, though. The government will ultimately intervene in forcing the cure to be free. Not intervene in quarantining and locking down and making it a military stormtrooper, evil empire country. Not that kind of intervention, but the government intervening in that if someone discovers the cure to coronavirus, then their hand will be forced by the government to give away that cure to everyone, because the nature of this coronavirus is that if you come into contact with somebody a few feet away, you're going to give that to somebody. Maybe even less than maybe even 6 feet away, you're going to give that disease to someone. So what good does it do to hoard the virus or say, oh, well, you can't have this. Sorry, you can't have this. Nope, fuck you, bye. No, you can't do that. You got to give the virus, you got to give the cure to everyone. So Tom Hanks or not, I mean, even if Tom Hanks' doctor gave him the cure, the doctor's going to have the virus, so the doctor needs help. If Tom Hanks' doctor doesn't have good insurance as Tom Hanks does, what does that do for anyone else? So you got to think that it's logical in this logic puzzle of things that everyone gets the cure, regardless if you're Tom Hanks, if you're Idris Elba, if you're Gal Gadot, her and her ridiculous, Imagine. That song is for people who are fucking high on LSD and ecstasy and PCP and angel dust, okay? Imagine all the people. That doesn't do any good. That song is ridiculous, okay? Yeah, Sarah Silverman and Mark Buffalo, and that song makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. It's just ridiculous. So it doesn't matter if you're a celebrity singing your ass off about nothing unless you're fucking high. And it doesn't matter if you're just some derelict, some black guy on the street, whether you're in downtown Los Angeles, you're in Compton, you're in East LA, you're in Maywood, Linwood. If you're an Indian American who does hard labor and works in and lives in the city of Downey, you're going to get the cure. It's only a matter of time. But for right now, everything's closed. I mean, libraries are closed. I can't volunteer in my library right now. Schools are closed. Sporting events are closed. Shopping malls are starting to close down. GameStop says, fuck you. They don't give a shit. So it's hard right now. And all I can say is that you fuckers who laughed at us, okay? The people who are not true forced and alone, you guys laughed at us for a long time. Some of us, like I told you, being TFL doesn't just mean you can't get fucked, you can't get a date, but that you also you can't trust your family members. You don't have any friends. You were bullied. You were hazed through school. Your dad took the belt out on you because you looked at him the wrong way, or you didn't get good grades in school, or he just didn't want to deal with you. He didn't know what to do with you because he didn't want to have kids to begin with. And you were just like, in a way, you were an accident. Like, you shouldn't have been there. And it's like, mom doesn't care, or mom drinks too much, or mom's a drug addict, or mom will scream at you, or your sisters don't give a shit. You were hazed and bullied through school. And as a result, when you want to go outside and go to sporting events and stuff, it's hard to go by yourself. And even if you do go by yourself, it's awkward at times because you want to go, yeah, I want to party with people. I want to have fun. I want to, do the dance, da, 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 right? And it's hard when you're by yourself. It's hard to party by yourself. So there are some true forced loneliness who have wife and kids and they're staying with the family. Some have their best friend to stay with, or their roommate, or their living girlfriend. Right now, that's a blessing. That's just the thing you have to understand. This is a blessing for us, just to be by ourselves. Because now these motherfuckers that think that they know everything, they know who we are, that we're introverts, that we're incels. Yes, we are. Motherfuckers, we are introverts and incels. But you know what? Now all of you are. Maybe you've got your living girlfriend. Maybe the way I see it, the glass is half full perspective is that you live with a girlfriend who doesn't like you very much. Or maybe you're tired of getting married with kids. Maybe you're the ones who's going to start new TFLers and you don't even realize it. While the real true forced loneliness people, the one who live alone, maybe we're the ones who are just trying to figure ourselves out. But now all of us have to stay home. How about that? So that's all I wanted to say. I wish I could have showed you scenes of the movie. Unfortunately, YouTube is one step ahead. Maybe my other video will get unlocked. I'm not going to hold my breath. But I figure I'm probably not going to do videos for a while. And I'm probably just going to do something else. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is do my video gaming. I may do a True Force Loneliness video maybe in a month or so. I don't know. But due to the practical the situation now, it seems impractical to do TFL videos, doesn't it? Because now we're all in the same situation. It doesn't make much sense. So that's all I've got to say. Okay, let's go to last call. It's hard to show light when it's daylight. We have daylight today, but I wanted to go over something concerning Marvel Comics. Oh, so you've seen the recent news. If you haven't, so Marvel Comics, they've come up with some new characters. I think one of them is Snowflake. One of them is Safe Space, B Negative, Trailblazer, Skidmark, Scuttlebutt, Shortstop, Larry, Moe, Curly, Donner, Blitzen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Stupid. I don't know. So anyway, these are the new characters. Wow. Okay. So let me tell you something, okay? When I was a kid, comic books, I based my comic book adventures on, if I can show some of this. This is, oh, we got Doctor Strange. I based my comic book adventuring on the for Marvel Comics and DC Comics on Super Friends, the Superman cartoon in the 1980s. And a lot of the Marvel comic, was it Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Saturday mornings. Also, I used to watch, Spider-Man, the old 60s Spider-Man. And Iron Man, Tony Stark, do. And then Captain America, Thor, Mighty Thor. All those 60s where they used kind of like cheap, Spider-Man was quality art, but they used cheap panels like from old comic books to illustrate. There's Daredevil. So you'd watch the old 1960s cartoons. I would watch that at 6 o'clock before I went to school every day in elementary school and junior high school. Here's Captain America. Here's the Vision. There's Wolverine. This is my birth year. And then I would see some comic books here and there of the Hulk. The Hulk was gray. It was weird. Spider-Man. And it wasn't until Superman died. Sorry for the shaking of the table here. It wasn't until Superman died that I started to appreciate comic books more. I would see stories like Maximum Carnage. You had the X-Men cartoon come out. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Right? And then they had X-Men action figures. They had X-Men toys from Toy Biz all over the place. I mean, first it started out as superheroes, and they had, here's the Punisher here. Then they had Maximum Carnage. They had big, muscular, like steroid-looking superheroes. That was done with Spawn, with Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane had Todd toys, and he had McFarlane toys. You had superhero Happy Meals, Batman the Animated Series Happy Meals. You had Spider-Man from the Spider-Man 94 series Happy Meals. It was a sad time when Jack the King Kirby died. I didn't even know who he was until he passed away. Here's the death of Captain Marvel. Here's some modern X-Men magazines. You had, so you had the death of Superman. You had all kinds of Superman stories. Batman Nightfall. You had Justice League stories, great ones. JLA Rock of Ages in 97. That was a pretty good time. Comic books in the 90s was a big boom. It was a great time in the 90s to be a comic book seller, a comic book merchant, guy making the comic books. If you were involved in the comic books industry in any way, shape, or form, even selling comic books at a swap meet, you were the lucky. I mean, you better have saved your fucking money and put it towards like good stock, because that was the best time. Look at this. Look at this right here. This was the best time to be a comic book collector, because you could make so much money. And so when I see these new warriors or America Chavez, it's ridiculous. It's the ridiculous direction. Do you remember the big titty babes? Lady Death, Evangeline, Fairchild, Witchblade. Witchblade was so popular. Remember Witchblade? She kind of looked like a young Yasmin Bleeth. You have to look her up, Yasmin Bleeth. But she looked like Yasmin Bleeth with a tacky suit on. I mean, you go on Instagram, you look at all these I haven't seen a Witchblade cosplayer yet. I dare to find somebody who can do that. That's a tough suit to put on. But Witchblade had her own TV show. There were so many 90s things that happened. That terrible show, what is it? Nightman? Do, 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 do. That one. There's all kinds of X Factor, Spider-Man getting married. Look at all this merchandise. Look what happened. There's Namor. There's the Android Human Torch, the beginnings of Marvel. There's this Punisher movie. There's the Captain America movie. Look at all this great stuff, man. Look at all this stuff that came out later. And there's some comic books. This is a great book, by the way. The first 50 years. Luke Cage. Remember all those shows that Disney canceled? Good God, they canceled Luke Cage. They canceled Daredevil. They canceled Punisher. My favorite Punisher, by the way, is the guy that played Volstagg, Ray Stevenson. Great Punisher. Great movie. Punisher Warzone. Didn't do as well as The Dark Knight, but it was at that time that movie was great. So I don't know about you, but I don't collect comic books these days. I'm a bit angry about this whole thing. But here's the thing. I'm retired, so I don't care. All I care about now is Harleen. I collect the DC Comics Harleen. And I'm going to look forward to Green Lantern Earth 1 Book 2. I'll leave us with, look, this Jungle Queen. It's just ridiculous. It's the politics, okay? You're putting politics before character creations, okay? It happened with Star Wars. It happened with Ghostbusters 2016. It happened with Marvel, with some of the Marvel superheroes. And it's happening here, okay? It's happening with this stuff. And you're going to kill the comic book industry with this stuff. Someone once said on YouTube that Marvel has Disney money. They don't need to do this. They don't need the money. So they have Disney money. They could just make whatever the fuck they want. You're going to put your politics in there? Really? So they did that with Star Wars. They might have done that with Birds of Prey, though I like Birds of Prey. But they're doing it with movies that they think they can just fuck with. And it's showing up in Marvel Comics. And it's probably showing up in DC Comics, but mostly in Marvel. Stop it. You know, don't cater. This is what, when you cater to the left, it's bad. When you cater to the right, it's bad. When you cater to the Green Party, it's bad. When you cater to independent parties, it's bad. Or peace and freedom. If Spider-Man was a Jehovah's Witness and he only went to to do Christian values and talk down to everybody. Okay, everybody needs to be Christian. Everybody needs to believe in Jesus Christ. There are people who don't even know that Jesus Christ even exists. Look at the indigenous people of the Andaman Islands. They don't give a shit. What do they know? So, don't cater to certain politics. Don't cater to certain religions. You're going to lose, okay? It's really the death. It's the death of good comic books, just like the death of Bucky. So I'll leave with this whole issue here. This whole mural of great comic book characters. Look at all these characters. Isn't that great? This is what it used to be. Just counting on the comic books to have stores to have great comics. Just like back in the 90s when you had Spawn, when you had Wildcats, when you had Cyberforce. Hell, Rob Liefeld, who's a joke these days, he was one of the respected artists and writers. Rob Liefeld. Jim Lee, before DC Comics. Jim Lee, that's how I knew who Jim Lee was when he did Image Comics. All those holographic foil, lenticular covers he used to make, gimmick cover. The 90s. What a different time that was. And now you have Ghostbusters 2016. You've got DC. Jesus, what a mess. You've got a mess of Star Wars. It's just ridiculous. Nobody cares. Brie Larson, nobody cares. Ridiculous. So the bar is now closed. I'm going to take us out with a little bit of Casio. Not to worry, I'll do this right.